Well, let's begin as usual with our sister publication this day. It does feature a photograph from the inauguration of the LMRT Red Line project in Lagos State on Thursday by the president there. He's flanked by governors and other state officials. But here's the big story from that event. Tinubu, Labour's force strikes in 9 months of my government, unacceptable. Flays unions' disruptive tendencies, says it's not Nigeria's only voice. Inaugurates Lagos Red Line, states democracy measured by people-oriented outcomes. We are connecting the dots of Lagos, says Sanwo-Olu in the yellow box window this morning. In place of restructuring, showing K6 Nigeria's reconfiguration and decentralization. What exactly will that mean? And in the black strip right above there, Article 6, opening up of power generation, transmission of private investments. And Rosario reports makes it to the front page this morning as well. Here's what that story is about. Well, the House review and a former lawmaker says the report has become obsolete and requires a review. Above the masthead on the top page there, the NUPRC has released regulatory divestment framework for exiting international oil companies, and that's the front of this day.
Let's look at the Punch newspaper. On its front page, it said, Pat's confess deceitful and Nigeria must decentralize, says Shoyinka. It has some writers there. It says, Pat's confess organized, not serious. Nigerians must negotiate their unity. That's from the Nobel laureate. And let's look at some other stories. It says, Reps, that's House of Reps, raised 23-man panel on Oronsanya report, demand review. Customs sees 1.7 billion naira fake drugs in Oyo and Osun states. Federal government pays $120 million from gas debts as blackout spreads in the nation. That's for the Punch.
The leading photo this morning for the New Telegraph is that of President Tinubu inaugurating the Lagos Red Line. At that inauguration, he also chided NLC over frequent strikes. That was in Lagos yesterday. Now, a big story just above that photo on Passport. Nigerian embassy in Abu Dhabi defies federal government's reforms. Machine moved to Abuja for maintenance. If you want more on that story, get a copy of the New Telegraph. Reps to MDA suspend all concession processes pending probe. Meanwhile, airlines to unblock lower ticket inventory as fare on international routes set to crash. On insecurity, bandits have kidnapped over 40 worshippers in Zamfara State. That's the New Telegraph.
The Daily Trust leads with this story. Residents protest kidnapping block Kaduna-Abuja highway. And worshippers abducted in Zamfara. Bandits burn health facility, houses in Katsina. But what you have on the front page are pictures from the Gaza Strip. Tinubu travels to Qatar with 38-man delegation. There's a story in that. We will be asking our analyst what he thinks about that story. The Daily Trust for you.
All right, let's look at the Leadership Friday. Tinubu hits back at Labour over strikes. He says, accuses NLC of playing Leadership Friday. NLC of playing. I hope we have the Leadership Friday. NSC of playing. All right. Let's look at, we've done the New Telegraph. Let's look at business. Okay, let's look at Business Day. 5 lessons for Nigerians as Indians. Wealth surge 5-fold. That's for the Telegraph. Binance crackdown raised fresh concerns in crypto crazy Nigeria. That's how is written here. Lagos Rail Project validation of democracy, says the president.
All right, quickly, we move over to the international papers. The Guardian UK this morning. More than 100 Palestinians die in chaos surrounding Gaza aid convoy. Israeli military rejects claims it fired on crowd and blames deadly crush. Everett killer should never have joined the police. More on that story on The Guardian UK. Meanwhile, Rwanda's scheme to cost £1.8 million for each deportee. That's a lot of money.
Well, that and many other stories, including the Russian war on Ukraine, make it to the front page of our international papers this morning. But for want of time, let's bring in the analysts that we have for these big stories. Lemmy Weber. Lemmy, great to see you this Friday morning. But it's not so great for Labour when President Bola Tinubu says your 4 different protests since my administration just clocked 9 months is unacceptable, is it?
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I think that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's reaction is a little too much, a little too surplus. He more or less detracted from the very epochal event of yesterday. We thought that it was an opportunity yesterday with the flagging of the Red Rail project, which is massive, which will bring a lot of succor to the people in Lagos in terms of the logistics of movement, perhaps help with the congestion, and of course make life easier, while of course helping the economy, boosting the economy of Lagos with revenue that will be generated. So I thought that that opportunity, it afforded him the chance to, as president, to challenge other governors to also think out of the box, instead of every month going cap in hand to go share the commonwealth of our country. They should think out of the box and see how they can also bring infrastructures such as that to their states. But the president thought it was an opportunity for him to take a swipe at Labour. Whether we like it or not, the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended, has guaranteed the rights of Labour to embark on strike or to even protest, express themselves. So, and there is no prescription of when the NLC can go on strike in the life of any administration. So I thought that it was unnecessary. What he could have done in the spirit of the renewed hope agenda of the president is to continually woo the people and sue for patience. Taking it out on Labour would just amount for me to a misguided attack on Labour, because Labour is not representing itself. Labour represents the Nigerian workers, especially the public, the workers in the public service. And whether we like it or not, the president himself has admitted to the fact that the nation is in dire straits. Nigerians are suffering, and it's just opposite in a country where there are lots of sycophants in government, where people would want to make something so bad look good to the president. The president has as much as admitted that the times are very bad, citizens are going through a lot of difficulty, and Labour has only just taken the opportunity to express itself through the protest. And the strikes in question, what has the president and the federal government done to make sure that another strike doesn't recur? They keep shifting the goalposts. The president, the federal government came out and made certain promises that they have demonstrated very bad will. They've not done much to show that they are committed to it. For instance, the federal government, in asking Labour not to go on strike at the beginning of this administration, after taking off subsidy, which has created a lot of ripples in our economy and increased the hardship and poverty in the land. Government said we were going to bring in CNG buses, compressed natural gas powered buses. 3,000 were going to be brought. As we speak, not one has been brought. So it's just the right thing to do for a president with better emotional intelligence is to actually just continue to sue for peace, to sue for patience, and to continue to get Labour to the table to discuss. However, the discussions really mean nothing if like successive governments, this government too will not put his money where his mouth is and keep promising and yet failing to deliver.
All right, let's look at the Daily Trust. Some interesting stories. One, of course, the headline there: residents protest kidnapping in Abuja, block the highways. But then there's a story of the president traveling to Qatar with 38-man delegation, and war on Gaza. Israel killing 112 at food collection center.
Yes, the Israel has sort of denied being responsible for that, but of course we know that with the hostilities yet to abate, it's really regrettable to have about 102 people killed in a place where they were seeking refuge, where they were even looking for reliefs. We must continually sue for peace. We must urge Israel to please sheath its sword. Yes, they were provoked into action from time, but for how long are we going to continue this orgy of violence? I think it's just right. And Joe Biden, the president of the United States, had even suggested that there was going to be a ceasefire. Now he seemed to have become a Pentecostalist also, because concrete steps are not taken in order to get Benjamin Netanyahu to actually order a ceasefire. There is a need to ceasefire. We can't continue with this orgy of violence. Yes, then we talk about the kidnapping Abuja-Kaduna Abuja-Kaduna Road. It's very sad, but while the kidnapping is a concern, we also must say that I must admit that there has been some measure of success in terms of security on the Abuja-Kaduna Road. A lot has been done. We've seen that even within the Kaduna metropolis or even satellite towns, it's really abated. So we must commend the FCT Police Commissioner and, of course, the service chiefs and the entire security architecture. A lot is being done. More can be done. So I urge that there's a 24-hour surveillance on the Abuja-Kaduna Road. We got a cheering news. One of our colleagues, a journalist, Martins Ode, who was kidnapped on the Ondo Forest Road on his way from Lagos, kidnapped about 3 weeks ago or thereabout, with kidnappers demanding 50 million ransom from everybody in that particular bus that were all kidnapped along with him, demanding 50 million each. Fortunately, as at yesterday, we got a report that he has been released. So he's in safety now. Of course, he's in the hospital, being given therapy, being attended to. But we must urge that we cannot fold our hands. We must work to ensure that the country is safer so that people can go about their normal duty. Then we look at the president going to Qatar. It's sad that we would have anybody at all who will give you an idea, who will make a statement uninduced, a statement that is voluntarily offered, that I'm going to prune down on my traveling team. Henceforth, we will not be more than 20 that accompany me to a trip. The president made this pronouncement on his own. This is what in lawn tennis is called unforced error. The president has committed another unforced error by making a pronouncement he will go with 20 people. Now he's gone with 28. Now, look, there is a trust deficit between the people and government. And this president is not helping matters in helping to restore the confidence of the people. You would go with 20 people, you've gone with 38. How do you explain it? The normal rhetoric is that they will come out later and tell us that the other 18 people who went on that trip went from their private pockets. You've seen the controversy that trailed the president's children being on that team. We must be a people who are serious. Government business must be done business unusual. We cannot continue the template that successive governments have done. However, we wish them success, the president's success in the trip to Doha. We expect that it really needs to come back home, because all of the businesses and attempts at attracting foreign direct investment to our country will not be that fruitful until we can secure our country and we can show that we are a people governed by the rule of law, not the rule of men. If we do that, be sure that our country can be back on the path to reclaiming its glory days.
Well, that's a good place to live it. Thank you so much, Lemi Gwebe, Public Affairs Analyst, for joining us this early morning. Enjoy your weekend.